I love Ursula. She's my favorite, not only Disney villain, but Disney character. So this video, we're gonna talk a little bit about how I made my Ursula Sith costume that I wore at MegaCon. And then I'm gonna do a reveal of the photo shoot I did with my friend Liz, who is a very talented photographer. Now I've been cosplaying Ursula since 2019, so I'll put some photos up here while I talk. She is my favorite to do, and I've done many different versions of her. I did kind of like a princess gown before. I've done Dapper Day with her. Last year I actually had tentacles at DragonCon that lit up. It was inspired by the new Little Mermaid Ursula of Melissa McCarthy. So this is sort of my new version of her. I intend to use this corset for Ursula, and then also bring my Ursula Sith to future cons like DragonCon, which I go to every time. So we're going to dive into it a little bit about the design, and then I'll show you how I created the corset, the beading I did, and then we'll show the photos. So enjoy. So my version of Ursula is very much inspired by these lightsabers I got at DragonCon a few years ago. We took these playful photos of me in my Ursula ball gown with them, and I really actually wanted to make this into a set. So I'm going to make a front lace corset that has a cloak kind of cape cowl situation with it, and with a front panel that goes across the corset, and of course I'm going to add my signature beading to go with it. I started by cutting out all of my pieces. For this project, I'm using all fabric that I had in my stash, including this like metallic purple material. I'm really trying to use up a lot of the stuff that I have kind of around the house for these projects. And I was able to create this with almost everything I had in-house for the corset itself. So once I cut all the pieces out, I started sewing them together. I think the hardest part when I'm working on something like this is the vinyl that I use. So you can see here that I'm using this just a regular standard metal foot, but a lot of times when I'm doing my boning channels, I find that if I use something that's either the roller foot or the Teflon foot, it really makes a difference. One thing I forgot to do when I did the design of this corset was to put a not a seam allowance, but a measurement in the front section for the grommets and the corset boning. So I had to add that with this smaller piece, which actually worked out great when I add that front tentacle. So it was a mistake, but it actually turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Once I had the corset together, I went ahead and started on the front tentacle. I sketched some ideas out. When I got one I liked, I cut it out, made sure it fit across the corset the way I wanted it to, and then I went ahead and transferred that stencil over to this black patent leather material that I had. I cut it out. I also backed it with felt just to give it a little bit more stability. I then added wire to the tentacle and sewed that to the edges. It took a little bit of time. I had to be really careful with the sewing. Once that was in place, I went ahead and inserted it into the front of the corset, sewed that up together, and then it was time for boning. As you can see here, my cats were very into the process, which kind of looks chaotic, but I like to, instead of plastic dip, wrap the ends of my boning in electrical tape. But just for my stuff, I don't do it for commissions or anything like that. As you can see, they're having a great time with with everything. And once the boning was in, I took some black bias tape, again from my supply, and went ahead and closed up both sides of it. I like to use a zigzag stitch to make sure I'm catching all of the material underneath. And this is just one method you can use to close a corset. This is the quickest way for me, and I think it looks really clean, very nice, and very polished. Once I had it sewn together, it was time for the fun part, and that means sequins. This is my favorite thing to do. I love adding sequins and beading so much, and I really went ham with this. Surprisingly, as well, I had all of these sequins at the house. I guess I bought Little Mermaid sequins one day, thinking this will be a good choice, and it was. I took a break from beading for a little bit and started on the cloak, which was pretty straightforward. The cloak in itself was basically a glorified poncho without a front seam. Once I had the basic kind of square outline, I went through and sort of tipped everything so it had really nice points on it. I left the edges kind of ragged. I wanted that like kind of unhinged Sith vibe, which I think really worked for this. So you'll see that when I start to sew together the edges, I edged everything with a zigzag stitch so it wouldn't unravel. And then the hood is just a basic square hood. Pretty easy. I did add some LED lighting with the help of my cat, who really was in the way. But I ended up not loving it and actually not even wearing this hood. You can tell what it kind of looks like here. I think it came out cool, but it wasn't in the end what I really wanted to, the vibe I was looking for. And once I got the cloak together and the hood, it was time to do a fitting of the corset and the entire outfit. So this is what we're sitting at. I went ahead and punched holes in it. It fits, not quite the way I usually would want, it's because I had to do this extra seam allowance, but I think it's gonna work. I need to sew a hook. I marked it here so that this latches in, but not mad about it. Once I tried it on, I continued with the beading, and I also added these little extra tentacles at the top, just like with the first one. I sketched it out first, traced it on the purple metallic this time, and added it with some additional sequins, and I think it came out really well. Alright, so I have this pinned. It doesn't look as good on my form because it's got metal boning in it. But this is what we have. I'm pretty pleased with it. Get some up close shots. Down the side here, we've got tentacles. We've got this one here. So I'm really happy with how it came out. Let me put the cloak on and I'll show you. And then I have this on top. So this is two different pieces. I've got this front bit, which is just a hood. So I can wear it just a hood, or I can wrap it up. This comes up. And there is LED lighting in it. I still don't 100% know how I feel about it. I don't think I need it. I think I'm gonna take it out. But I like it. Overall, I like it. Full test fit. The cat's just been running. I think it's gonna work. And after updating my necklace and pulling this gray wig out of storage, which I was so excited that I forgot I had it, I we were ready to go to MegaCon. So here's the reveal. So, as you can see, that project did have a lot of ups and downs. I decided not to do the hood. It just wasn't the vibe I was going for. The lights looked a little bit odd. I think they worked really well when I did them for my tentacles in 2023 because they looked kind of like individual suckers on the tentacles. But in the hood, it just didn't give the right look I wanted. And I think it took away from my glowing necklace and the lightsaber. So I ended up ditching that. I also think it wasn't going to work with the crown. But overall, I really love the way this corset came out, even though I originally kind of thought I flubbed it, but I didn't with that front paneling. It turned out exactly the way I needed to add that front tentacle, and Liz did an amazing job with the photos. So I'm going to put her contact information down below. She shoots in the Florida area, I believe. I don't know if she travels, but reach out to her. Definitely give her a follow. She's an amazing photographer. And as always, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'm going to come out with a bunch of new content really soon. I'm planning something for this upcoming Flower and Garden Festival. And then I'm going to start doing some DragonCon builds. So follow along, and thanks for watching.
That's cute.